UIC. Freedom the people of need. Hell yeah. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in no tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The one that free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. UIC run the road long time. GLP and PMP I sell we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force no coercion me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them and go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Welcome to tonight's edition of UIC Liberty TV. I'm glad to have you guys on. Lion Rule the Jungle is up and running. Good evening, all uniters. Good evening, Lion Rules the Jungle. JMH, good night. Maurice Williams, good night. Good evening, Mr. President and all uniters. So tonight we are going to be talking about a very topical topic. So recently, a young lady, in celebrating her 21st birthday, had a little too much to drink. And so after drinking more than a couple, they said close to 24 cups of alcohol in celebration of her 21st birthday. I think she was doing 21 cups to signify the 20 birthdays. So the next morning, she was found dead in her bed. So this is very concerning because this is a young person that had so much that she could have given to the society at large and the country, and her life was, I don't want to say cut short, her life was ended because of decisions that she made or choices that she made that may not have been the best choices for her at the time. And so tonight's UIC Liberty TV Live is going to be discussing, we're going to be discussing about lifestyle choices. Are our youth today being empowered with the information to make good lifestyle choices that will, affect not just them, but those around them, their community, the families that they live with or live in, and the communities that they live in, and by at large, the country. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Cordell, good evening. Purpose-driven vibes, bless up yourself. Good evening, Mr. Harper. Lion in the Jungle says, oh, blessed. Okay. Trudy and Mackenzie, really sad. Yeah, it is, definitely. Lion in the Jungle says, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Definitely, guys. And comment in the live. We really need your support. Also, please remember, we still have a of hitting 1,000 donors contributing $25 a month or the equivalent. And so, share with as many people and get them involved in the movement, so we're able to do the things that we need to do in Jamaica. Julian McKenzie says, no, they're not. The government is the first bad example. Juliet Chambers, up UIC. Lucky Lion, up top. Eunice Brown, good night, UIC family. Good night, Eunice. Patricia Robinson, UIC, up. Okay, so tonight we have, as I said, we have a very interesting topic. And of course, we're going to bring on Mr. Patterson to share his views and to kind of give you guys some information on what is the UIC stance on all of this, and also to walk us through, alcohol poisoning and how damaging it is to our bodies. A lot of us don't even know how damaging alcohol is to our bodies. It's really poisonous, and we're being sold this. Ganja is outlawed or banned, but we have this poisonous substance that is sold, and is marketed all over. So we're going to bring in Mr. Patterson, and we're going to hear his views. We're going to have a little discussion on the whole topic and matter. So, Mr. Patterson, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, Douglas. Good evening, everyone. And it's my pleasure to be here again on another episode. Unfortunately, we're talking about a very sad, very, very sad event, Mr. Harper. Very, very sad.
Yeah.
I was shocked when I saw it. I have young adult age children myself, and that could be my youngest daughter, who is 22, and this young lady is 21. So it really hit me hard when especially when you see the video of her celebrating, and then to know that that celebration would have been the last one, and neither she nor her family or friends realized that that would have been the last celebration. And unfortunately, the choices that she made were ones that were obviously riveted in ignorance, not knowing what she's doing to her own body, not understanding what the implications could be, and having to suffer the results and not having a chance to correct that mistake. So I really feel it for her and her family, and my condolences to the family and the friends and the community that that is affected by this. But I'm hoping we can use this as a learning opportunity for all of us, whether we're young or not. We must realize that our choices have consequences, and also that we can make choices without realizing what those consequences are. And so availing ourselves of knowledge and trying to make sure that we understand how our bodies work and cooperating with nature as opposed to working against it can be quite advantageous and healthy in the long run. So on that note, Mr. Harper, can you share with us maybe just a clip to see
Video?
what we're talking about?
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to share the video of the young lady while she was celebrating her birthday. So I'm going to share that now.
Grateful for 21 yesterday. Big up to life.
Just one second, lollipop. Put it on your mouth corner like that. Pan your lip, make the lollipop catch. Me a look, me a watch.
Yeah.
Like a football.
Yeah, watch.
Fabrice.
But no punch, I know, man, I go
Going,
punch.
yeah, going on.
Alright, so 21.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've watched it a few times, and I look at her face, I look at her expression. She was just trying to have fun. Trying to recognize a milestone in her life. I've made it to 21, and moving to the next level. and by the way, this is the age when most young people begin to experiment with alcohol and
Yeah.
other drugs. In fact, in our high school today, they're already experimenting with various drugs. So we need a system that empowers our children. I remember when I was going to secondary school, I was about maybe 14 or 15. There was this program called I forgot the program, but it was a trial program where they took a few of us out of the school and we went on a summer camp. It was at the GC Foster College, and they taught us about sexually transmitted diseases, smoking, alcohol. It was a special program. It wasn't a part of the normal school program. I forgot how it came about, but it was quite an eye opener for me as a young man, because they showed you a lot of stuff, and you read materials, and I found it to be a really good program for me. It lasted for about 4 weeks. We lived on campus at the GC Foster College. We were taken from different schools, and we were being trained to be peer counselors so that we could counsel our fellow students. And I found that to be really helpful, because when I went back to school and I saw my peers engaging in different things, my perspective was very different because of that 4-week program, which was not a normal part of the school program, but it turned out to be quite transformative for me as an individual. But yeah, this is really, a really sad, very sad situation. If you think about it, today there's a mother, there's a father, there's a brother, there's a sister, a friend that is mourning right now the loss of this 21-year-old girl. And to think that maybe an intervention of the sort that I just spoke about, an exposure to some of these things could have helped her to not make the decisions that she did, and could have saved her life. I mean, today I'll tell you a little about myself as a prelude to what we're going to talk about, throughout the course of this evening. I do not drink, so I don't drink alcohol normally. Well, I must tell you, when I get the rum cake, it is in there, the Christmas cake, and if the sorrel, it is in there, but it's not in any dominant stage, except when maybe one or two of the ladies who bake for us sometime might go overboard. But generally speaking, I don't drink. I don't smoke. The last time I smoked, I was 7 years old. When I tested, I roll up some leaves and put it and make a nice big spliff, and that was quite dramatic. When I was young, my brother and I, we stole a box of beer from my grandfather. He normally had these festivals, where friends come over and stuff, and they had, beer and all kind of stuff. So my brother was bigger than me. He stole a box of beer, and 2 of us went, and we sat down and we drank. All 24, I think, was in the box.
Wow.
Needless to say, I threw up tremendously and had a terrible hangover from the event. And so I learned my lesson from that one box of beer and from that spliff that we made, using dried leaves and stuff. I don't think any marijuana was in there, but he tried a thing, and the burning of the eyes and whatever. I learned from that. I also learned from my father. My father was a drinker, and I saw it turned him into a fool many times. He was a smoker as well, and he gambled, and he was also a womanizer. So I kind of looked at choices that he made, and I see the impact of those choices, plus the limited knowledge I got from that 4-week program. And at 7, I got a book called Tell Me Why, which kind of spoke to some of these things, which was helpful. Now, I learned very early that it's very harmful to engage in any of these four areas: drinking, smoking, gambling, womanizing. They're not only harmful, but they're also quite unproductive. They're not only unhealthy, they're also financially costly. If you think about it, how much time, money, and pain you can save yourself by not gambling, by not buying cigarettes, by not drinking alcohol, to an extent where it becomes something you must do, and it becomes chronic, and it becomes
Right.
addictive. The challenge is you never know if it's going to become addictive. Sometimes you just play with it casually and it becomes. The same thing with womanizing. It can become quite chronic and quite addictive. So these are areas which it's important for our young people, our children, to learn about these things, early. I was very fortunate. I got married at 23 years old, and 28 years later, I'm still married to the same woman, Charlotte Masada Patterson. We have been able to build a fairly decent life by trying to make good choices every day. If I had bad habits, like my father and I see in other men in the various communities that I've lived in, smoking, drinking, womanizing, gambling, I would most likely, create a very miserable life for my family. I'd probably be less productive and possibly poor. And as a matter of fact, if you look at it carefully, most, or not most, but many poor people engage in very bad habits. You can imagine a person who is poor spending money on alcohol, or spending money on cigarettes, or gambling. Of course, they're hoping for something better, right? Or they're searching for something, or they're trying to cope with life, But can you just imagine the cost, the bigger cost? Can you imagine having to pay for outside kids with 2 or more baby mothers? So you're struggling to make life as it is, and you don't have one woman beside you. You have maybe 3 women running you down for for money for 3 different kids to care for 3 different families, or maybe you're addicted to cigarette, and if you add up the amount of packs of cigarettes that you have to buy and compare that with how much you could have saved and invested in something meaningful, or if you look at the stress and social problems that comes from, alcohol drinking, the impairment, visual impairment, mental impairment, social family breakdown, all of that is just absolutely destructive and should be avoided at all costs. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. And it's unfortunately something that is almost happily promoted, that kind of lifestyle of, drinking and womanizing and gambling. It's heavily promoted, and so it's so easy to get into. It's so easy to want to, kind of follow the crowd or be doing what everyone else is doing. And so it's really a problem for our youth, because it's setting them up for a life of problems, whether it is fighting alcoholism or fighting drug abuse or some other substance, dealing with their own mental issues that they have to deal with. And then, couple that with now, a failing economy, not getting paid enough, traffic on the roads, a dirty society or a dirty community. It's just, it just piles on.
It compounds. It gets bigger and bigger. One thing I know though is that it's hard for a person to be highly productive if they are suffering from any one or more of these 4 factors. I mean, if you get addicted, or if you regularly use alcohol, even if you don't think you're addicted, but you regularly use alcohol, you're diminishing your mental faculties.
Yeah.
You're diminishing your ability to remember, to analyze.
Yeah.
You're impairing your judgment. If you are engaged in smoking, you're not only affecting your life, but you're affecting the life of those around you who are in the space. You might be a young mother who is smoking, and you're damaging the lungs of your baby. You might be a father who is bringing this home into the home. If you are a gambler, you might be denying your family precious funds for, a textbook, for adequate food. Your family might be eating on the margins when you could have been providing a healthy diet. Just earlier today, my wife and I were out, and she said to me, because people are stocking up for the storm, the tropical storm that was supposedly coming, and she said, I feel so bad when I see what people are putting in their grocery cart to give to their children to eat.
Yeah.
And so that we're impairing the minds of our children, and so the parents are already impaired, and they're now feeding their children food, and it's not even food. These things are not food.
Chemicals,
and I'm not bashing anybody. I don't want to bash anybody, right? Because I know people are just trying to cope. They're trying to exist, and maybe their lives are so busy, they don't have time to cook and whatever, and they're just trying to eke out an existence. And so they're looking for the easiest thing, a package this, a package that. But when you consider the damage that is doing to your children's brain cell, to their ability to make quality blood, to build their stamina and cognitive skills and abilities, and if these parents understood what they were doing to their children, they wouldn't do it. When my wife and I were raising our kids, one thing we never skimmed on was food. We skimmed on clothing. We buy little clothing. We skimmed on housing. I remember when we were buying our first house. I was making fairly decent income, but we wanted to make sure our kids were taken care of properly. So my wife stayed home with them. They were homeschooled and so on. So we had to balance things. So we made sure to buy a small house, less than we could afford financially, so that we could afford the things that are of greater value. So our kids ate very, very well. We were vegans at the time, well, still are, or close. And so when we're buying, people used to say, no, those are too expensive. We bought the best bananas, the best oranges, the best grape, the best melon. We didn't try to get whatever. We buy organic, good, decent food, and we say, you know what? Your health is more important than anything else. If you don't have good health, what's the purpose of having any other form of wealth? If you have, if your body isn't good, if your mind isn't good, then what's the value of having all the money in the world? So that's how we kind of grew our children and ordered our lives. And I found it was very beneficial, because it meant I was never sick from work. Normally I was able to function at my peak all the time, delivering quality results for my employers, and then later when I get into business, to my clients. And that just multiplied, our ability as a family to do well to the next level. We were able to then buy the next bigger house, of course, and then buy the next better vehicle. But you don't put those at the front. You have delayed gratification, right? So first making good choices and good decisions that are going to set you up for success. And the best success you can ever have is to have a healthy mind and a healthy body. That can bring you everything else. And of course, having good social relationships, having good relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your extended family, your community, to the extent that you can control that. Because some of it you can't control. It's out of your control. But whatever you can control, please, try to control them. Yeah.
And going back to that nutrition thing, if you look at think of your body as like a car. And, if you have a car, if you put in the wrong fuel in the car, it damages the engine and the car stops working. So think of what you're consuming, what you're eating as fuel for the body. And so is this nutritious? Is this helping my body or giving my body the nutrients it needs to do what it needs to do for me to be effective, for me to, be able to do what I need to do effectively. And so I've only started this. I mean, not that I was an unhealthy eater, but I only started this whole idea of looking at food differently in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, and saying, really, the stuff that we eat is not really beneficial for us, and
Exactly.
it really affects our abilities. It really affects how we, how we work, we parent, or how we even play. It affects a lot. We only have one body. And so, let's do what we can to take care of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's if you're not eating good food, your brain will not function properly. I've worked with a lot of people here in Jamaica where I've found that the mental stamina isn't there. The the ability to think at the level that we need to think is just not there because we have not fed our brain. We have not eaten brain food. We have eaten food. Just imagine when we were going to school. I remember when I was going to Spanish Town Secondary and lunchtime. What is for lunch? A sugar bun and a sky juice. My God, what a destructive thing, man. So I went out and get a sky juice, which is just a bag of syrup and some water and a straw in it, right? And you go and around a place called B&D, I think it was, and you buy a big sugar bun. And that is lunch. In the morning before I went to school, what was breakfast? Some lime leaf tea and a piece of bread with some anka butter on it. And that was breakfast. Fortunately, my mom, when it came on to dinner, when I was living with her, afterwards I lived with my father, which was a little bit different. But at my mom, dinner was mostly, because we were really poor, mostly it was cornmeal and callaloo, which was really fortunate. I mean, I thought I was, being, poorly fed and it was horrible. But the cornmeal and the callaloo, which we had a lot of that, and very rare did we have meat. Sometimes we get a piece of chicken back and some dumpling, which wasn't the best combination, the flour and the stuff. She does try to cook yam and dasheen and stuff, which was quite healthy. And then we have a lot of cabbage. So we had lots of cabbage, lots of callaloo, pop chow. So mostly dinner was around one of those three with some cornmeal, and that was quite healthy and helpful. I didn't know that we couldn't afford a lot of drink and stuff. So it's mostly water, we drink after we eat. And I tell you, without knowing it, she was saving my life. What I had at school was different. At school, now you just kind of subsist on basic stuff.
Yeah.
And we were lucky when you get what we call cook lunch. Maybe once a week, she's able to get some money together and you go to school and you buy. That's a day, a big day, cook lunch. You get to buy cook lunch. And normally something like curried chicken back and rice and, something like that, back then. But let's go back to this alcohol thing. I want us to watch the first video, and look at alcohol poisoning. Can you share that one with us?
Sure.
Welcome to the First Aid Show. I recently received an email from somebody who asked about what treatment we need to do for somebody who's suffering from alcohol poisoning. Having an alcoholic drink in itself is not usually a problem, but when taken in excess, it can lead to alcohol poisoning. Alcohol has a chemical name of ethanol, which is a drug that depresses the activity of the central nervous system, and in particular the brain. Alcohol comes in many forms and strengths, from beers or wines to spirits or medical alcohol. As someone drinks, the effects start to take effect in the person and can cause personality changes, dizziness, nausea, vomiting and tiredness. An excessive or prolonged consumption can severely impair all physical and mental functions, and the person may sink into deep unconsciousness, which can be difficult to wake them from. This is where it's getting a serious problem, as in certain circumstances it can lead to death. Risks from alcohol poisoning include an unconscious casualty risks inhaling and choking on vomit. Alcohol widens or dilates the blood vessels. This means that the person loses heat and hypothermia may develop. And a casualty who smells of alcohol may be misdiagnosed and not receive the appropriate treatment for an underlying cause of unconsciousness, such as head injury, stroke, or heart attack. When you try to talk to them, they may not respond. They may look flushed, and their breathing may be deep and noisy. If you hear their pulse, it may be full and pounding, and they may be very difficult to wake or get any response from. As time passes, their breathing will become shallow and the pulse becomes weak and rapid. Their pupils will become dilated and not react very well to light. If you suspect alcohol poisoning, try and put them in the recovery position and keep their airway open to allow the vomit to pass out without causing choking. Get emergency medical help and contact the police in cases where the person or people around them could become violent. Try and keep them warm, placing a coat or blanket over them, and monitor their vital signs to ensure that they do not stop breathing. If this did happen, you'd have to start CPR. Do not induce vomiting, but if they are sick, ensure that you avoid coming into contact with their vomit. Turn them onto their side to ensure that it does not block their airway.
Yeah, so hopefully that video gave you a little perspective on, how alcohol poisoning works, how alcohol impairs the mind, your cognitive abilities, your ability to make good decisions, and how we need to take this very seriously. The second video you're about to see will drill down a little more, give some anecdotal examples, two of the speakers, I think. So let's take a look at that, and then we're going to get into what happens when you start to say stop using alcohol and how your body will react to that. And then we're going to go into the 10 laws of health after looking at the UIC's policy and how we plan to use education as a key tool to helping our people make effective decisions. So let's look at the second video now.
For the gods, others call it hooch. A fancy cocktail might be good, but it comes at a price. Your health. What factual benefits are to giving up alcohol? Second,
So the other one, not that, that's the last one we're going to look at. The one, the next one, yes. There we go.
It's a real problem in colleges because you're drinking an obscene amount of alcohol, and all the effects of that alcohol may not even be at play until you can literally pass out and your blood alcohol concentration can continue to rise if you're drinking hard alcohol like rum, bourbon, other hard liquors like that.
And this is the first time, a lot of times the kids turn 21 in college, the first time they've ever had alcohol, so they may not know what their limits are.
They have no clue how
Yeah.
much they can consume and what's too much.
And the reason that people die is you have involuntary reflexes that are basically knocked out if your blood alcohol level gets too high. So think about how often you drink a sip of water and you start coughing, oh, it went down the wrong pipe. Well, if your blood alcohol level goes beyond a certain point, that gag reflex no longer works, and so you can asphyxiate in your sleep and die. And I want to show everyone really quickly how blood alcohol concentrations affect your judgment, and why this often happens is because, innocently enough, you may start off, have a drink, and you're starting to feel relaxed. Your intensification of mood. Then you're getting a little sedation. This is where you start to wonder, driving may not be such a smart idea. Maybe after 2 or 3 drinks, you're starting to get impaired motor skills. 0.08 in many places is an illegal level of blood alcohol concentration as far as DUIs. So things are beginning to be impaired. Not really dangerous yet, but I want everyone to focus on this. Significantly impaired judgment. Significantly impaired judgment. You know what that often means? I'm going to keep on drinking. This liquor, it's not touching me. Often happens in college kids. Then once they get confused, they may even be close to blacking out, but their friends are giving them more and more shots because their friends have impaired judgment. This is where things get kind of scary. Between 0.3 and 0.4, for most people who are naive to alcohol, you can start to lose consciousness. And then beyond 0.4, again, if you're alcohol naive, you can go unconscious. That's how you die. Now, what's crazy is I have seen full-blown alcoholics walking around the ER with levels of 0.4 plus because they're so used to having that much in their system. But a college kid, theoretically, maybe that's the first time they've ever even had alcohol.
And what happened in his story, he kind of passed out, so that people around him figured, oh, he just needs to sleep it off. He needs to sleep it off. Let's put him in the bed and let him sleep. Check on him in the morning. And that's often the wrong thing to do because, like you said, you lose your gag reflex, your breathing's suppressed, and you can just wake up.
And the people
dead.
around him probably have impaired thought process. Like, are they thinking safe? Are they being extra cautious? Probably not.
And let me ask you this as parents. If your children ever called you up and said, you know what, my friend is not responding, we drank too much, I don't think you would ever be upset.
Nope.
You would be there in a heartbeat. So if you cannot get...
I've got that exact phone call, but it was from my daughter's friend. And, wow. But yeah, I'm very thankful that my daughter's friends were around her to say, hey, but you need
Did they
to
call
prepare.
911?
No, she was just on the verge of the passing out aspect. By the time I got there, she was out, and as I was able to check her and kind of help her ride through it. But
new experiences with alcohol, and as long as they know, you call them, there'll be no questions asked. As long as they're safe.
Yes, and I told her, even on that day when she goes to the graduation party, I said, if you need to call me, no questions asked, you call me. And luckily, the phone call.
Most colleges have a healthcare facility because if you cannot get your friend to respond to you, they need to be in the emergency department where they can be closely watched, be given IV fluids if necessary, and more importantly, sometimes you need a breathing to get you through the night. Otherwise, you will not wake up the next morning.
Okay, so the big takeaway from that should be the degree of impairment which is caused by drinking alcohol, the lack of judgment, the reduction of your motor skills, your reflexes being impaired. Just overall, you're losing control of yourself. You're even losing involuntary control of your bodily responses to challenges. Did you hear that? You wake up and find yourself dead. You hear that part? It's kind of funny, but it's amazing. You are actually dying because of your body. Let's say you're choking on your own vomit, but your body cannot respond to that the way it normally would have just reflexively responded to stop you from dying. And so you just die because alcohol has impaired your body's ability to respond to a stimuli, which is telling it needs to do something to rescue you from what's happening. And you, by drinking alcohol, you have impaired your body's ability to help you to survive. Now, this is really serious because Jamaica has an alcohol problem. Everywhere you turn, there's a bar. No, I'm not saying we shouldn't have bars. I'm not licking out against J. Ray and Nephew or anybody. All I'm saying is these are things we need to know. These are things children need to know. They need to learn about their bodies. They need to understand how their bodies work. They need to understand what is good for them, what is not good for them, how excessive use of this or that can cause various forms of impairment, so they can plan and prepare for this, so they can put themselves in a better position to not only survive, but thrive. Instead, because of our culture and the way that we have allowed our country to evolve, many of our men, for example, are killing themselves, destroying their brain cells, losing the ability they need to be fathers, to be men, to be mentors, to be guidance counselors in their communities, to be men who can lead not only their families, but other children in their communities who may need a father figure. Because, so men, I know it's nice to drink and it feels good and it's lovely, but maybe we want to ask ourselves, are we drinking a little bit too much? The funny thing about it is you might not even realize when you're having too much based on what you just saw a while ago.
Right.
The nicer you're getting, the more you want to drink some more.
Yeah.
You have lost the faculty, you have lost the mental acuity to be able to say, I need to stop now. This is serious.
It is serious. And I remember there was a campaign some time ago where they were saying, like, basically know your limit. And it's kind of weird because, you can't know, even if you do know your limit, once you've reached a certain point, you don't really know your limit. You're just drinking,
And do those around you know the limit?
Right,
so for example, if you and I go out, ARPA, and we're out there and I am drinking and I'm passing my limit, but you're also passing your limit. You can't say anything to me. You can't tell me what to do. I can't tell you. We're both going to drive over the precipice.
Yeah. It's a serious problem.
So let us now look at the next video before we now going to, after this, the UIC solution, and then the 10 key points I want to share with you this evening, that if you follow those 10 points, you'll be amazed at the results. But on this video, we're now going to look at what happened when you stop drinking alcohol. There are some interesting facts you're going to learn, and I think it's important for us to know. So let's have a look.
Some call it the elixir of the gods. Others call it hooch. A fancy cocktail might taste good, but it comes at a price. Your health. Let's find out what the actual benefits are to giving up alcohol. Seconds after you stop drinking, your liver slowly filters out the toxins and sugars found in the alcohol. The molecule ethanol is what makes you feel drunk. It does this by binding to receptors in your brain. Most notably, ethanol binds to glutamate neurotransmitters, which in turn causes the brain to respond slower to stimuli. Along with glutamate neurotransmitters, there are several other receptors that ethanol binds with that slows brain function. The result of these inhibited receptors is what we call drunkenness. The reversal of this process can take a while, and the hangover that ensues after a heavy night of drinking is a mix of your body trying to get rid of the ethanol and other harmful molecules, along with dehydration. Unfortunately, if enough ethanol builds up in your system, it can kill you. After about an hour, your body has filtered your blood several times and metabolized the drinks you had. The time it takes your body to break down the alcohol directly correlates to the amount consumed. About an hour after you stop drinking, your body starts to feel tired due to the high amount of energy it uses to remove the alcohol from your blood. And since it takes about 6 hours for your body to completely break down all the ethanol in your system and bring the sugar, water, and other nutrient levels back to normal, the lingering effects of drunkenness will persist. After you've had your last sip of alcohol, your body needs to rest more than usual to recover from your attempts to poison it. Unfortunately, until you get past this stage, it's difficult to have a good night's sleep. In fact, research suggests that alcohol actually increases alpha wave patterns in your brain, which are only supposed to be present while you're awake. This implies that alcohol tricks the brain into thinking the body is awake when it's really trying to sleep. But there is good news. If you manage to not drink for 6 to 12 hours, your body physically starts to change for the better. For one thing, alcohol has been shown to weaken your immune system. This might leave you susceptible to viruses and bacteria bacteria that are present at bars and parties. About 24 hours after you stop drinking, however, your immune system returns to normal. This is the first of many changes that will occur from sobriety. If you're a heavy drinker or an alcoholic, another much more noticeable change to your body will occur around 24 hours after you stop drinking. This is when withdrawal really starts to kick in. Your body may still chemical changes that occur when you drink, and therefore you would start to develop symptoms such as the shakes, cold sweats, increased pulse, nausea, and anxiety. These will eventually pass, but the amount of time these withdrawals last is based on each person and how much alcohol you usually consume on a daily basis. Congratulations! If you make it to 3 to 5 days without drinking, the real benefits of sobriety start to kick in. You may find that your blood pressure begins to drop, and you will overall feel less stressed. Doctors often recommend that people with high blood pressure reduce the amount of alcohol they consume. So even if this is not your goal, less than a week after you stop drinking, your body will be grateful for that much-needed break. You also might notice your appetite begins to decrease about a week after you stop consuming alcohol. This is one of the reasons that people tend to lose weight when they quit drinking. The other reason is that on average, each drink you're consuming contains a couple hundred calories, and since the sugars and alcohol don't fuel your body very well, much of it gets stored as fat. If you can give up drinking for an entire week, you may also find your skin looks and feels better. This is because your body is now more hydrated. Not only does alcohol make you pee more often, but it also decreases your antidiuretic hormone levels, which plays a role in allowing your body to reabsorb water. Somewhere around the 7-day mark after you stop drinking, these hormone levels are back to normal, and your body is retaining more water. This is good not only for your skin, but for your body overall. Again, it's important to remember that the time between when you stop drinking and start seeing these benefits will vary depending on the person and how much alcohol they previously consumed. A couple of weeks without alcohol, and you might find your cognitive abilities start to improve. This is because the brain, like many parts of your body, is resilient. The damage done to your neural pathway by the ethanol can be reversed. You will never regain memories from when you blacked out while drinking or recover thoughts that were obliterated from overconsumption of alcohol, but many of your neural connections will heal themselves over the coming weeks and months. You'll see even bigger benefits if you quit for more than 1 or 2 weeks. Without the pressure of filtering alcohol, your kidneys will begin to repair themselves. Like the liver, the kidneys filter out toxins. They're not quite as affected by alcohol as the liver is, but overconsumption can definitely cause damage over time. After a couple of weeks of drinking, the kidneys will heal enough to maintain proper fluid levels, waste excretion, and hormone balances. If enough damage is caused to the kidneys from excessive drinking, you will feel much better once they're healed. The organ that takes the brunt of the damage when you drink is the liver. It's a vital structure, and without it you survive. So about 3 weeks to a month after you completely stop drinking, your liver will begin to thank you. It's around then that the tissue will start to regenerate fully, and the liver will repair itself. Without having to worry at all, the liver can focus on breaking down other toxins that are produced by the body, which overall will make you feel healthier. The regeneration of time, but it happens much quicker when you stop drinking. A month or 2 after your last sip of alcohol, your liver will begin working at full power again. Just reducing the amount of alcohol you consume on a weekly basis can be beneficial for your liver. But if you really want to thank this vital organ for all it's done to keep you alive, there is nothing better than giving it a rest from breaking down alcohol. And if liver regeneration wasn't a big enough benefit, there's another major change that will occur to your body after not drinking for around a month or 2. I'm sure you've heard that a glass of wine a day can improve the health of your heart. Well, too much drinking can also damage your heart and increase your chances of having a heart attack or a stroke. Around 2 months after you stop drinking, your heart will have repaired most of the damage caused by overconsumption of alcohol. However, the best thing you can do to increase heart strength is to exercise. By reducing or completely stopping your alcohol consumption and exercising more, your heart can become stronger and healthier. Even though this next change doesn't directly impact your body, something amazing happens when you stop drinking for a few months. Your bank account suddenly starts looking healthier too. Having more money could lead to less stress in your life, which would definitely be beneficial to your health. Research has shown that people who drink socially end up spending between $500 to $1,200 on alcohol annually. But if you live in a more expensive city and enjoy going out for drinks frequently, these numbers can be much higher. People who stop drinking have noticed that the money they saved was enough for a down payment on a car or to take the vacation they've always wanted to go on. These are clearly positive impacts on your life that may result in less stress and increased happiness. Interestingly, stress has a very similar effect on the body as alcohol does. It can increase blood pressure, cause heart problems, negatively affect your skin, and cause depression. Months after you stop drinking, your body might feel 100 times better due to a combination of less stress, and allowing your organs to repair themselves. One of the most surprising changes to your body after you stop drinking happens without you feeling anything. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has found that alcohol can be a carcinogen. This means that there's a chance the substance can cause cancer. The research suggests that people who consume large amounts of alcohol are at a higher risk for certain types of cancer, which makes sense when you think about it. Since your body technically sees alcohol as a toxin and your liver is responsible for removing that toxin, it's no surprise that people who are heavy drinkers of developing liver cancer. Some research also suggests that alcohol can cause an increase of cancer in the esophagus as well. More research needs to be done, but there does seem to be a correlation between heavy alcohol consumption and increased risk of cancer. This means that once you stop drinking, you're actually lowering your chances of your body developing cancer, and this benefit doesn't just persist for a few years, but for the rest of your life. Just to be clear, most doctors and scientists agree that occasionally drinking alcohol poses very minimal health risks. In fact, consuming alcohol in moderation might have some health benefits. However, health problems arise when overconsumption occurs. But to be fair, this is true with almost anything you put into your body. When you stop drinking, your body goes through several changes over time. But even if you only reduce the amount you drink, similar beneficial effects can occur. If you're planning to do something like Sober January or want to cut off alcohol for a bit and see how it goes, just know that you will definitely feel better after the initial shock to your system. However, the health effects that come from long-term sobriety probably won't occur in just a single month. If you want to drink from time to time, that's okay. You can still receive some of the benefits mentioned in this video just by limiting your alcohol consumption to 1 drink or less a day. By reducing alcohol intake, your body can recover and you can live a long and happy life, while also having a glass of hooch every now and then. Now watch Most Expensive Drink in the World, or check out I Went to a Bar Alone and This Is What Happened.
Yeah, so I hope that was quite informative for you. Lots of important information there. One of the key things that should have jumped out at you is the fact that drinking alcohol lowers your immune system. So this can actually expose you quite tremendously. You should have also seen that alcohol damages a number of your key organs, your heart, your kidney, your liver, and it has a tremendous financial impact on the family as well. So, this is an opportunity for us to kind of really take stock of what we're doing to this God-given body of ours and ask ourselves the question if, we don't want to do better with it. We want to really improve it and make it serve us better. And as adults, pass on good values and norms to our children because they're watching us. What they see us doing is what they're going to do as well, particularly the bad things. They don't copy the good things so quickly, but the bad things they're, keen to catch on to very quickly. What do you say to that, Sir Harper?
Yes, it was a very interesting video. What stood out for me is just how the body is able to heal itself if you allow it, if you give, if you provide the proper things for it to heal itself, so if you're eating right, if you're sleeping, having sleeping enough hours, exercising, drinking water, all these things really, help the body to be as productive as it can be. And but not just that, the fact that even if you were an alcoholic or someone who drank alcohol a lot, the mere fact that you just within a couple of months your body is able to get back to where it was before is really amazing, and just kind of testament to how amazing our bodies are, and we've never really been taught how powerful, how amazing, how resilient our bodies are. A lot of us are taught our bodies are just,
Well, we're not taught much about it, but let's be clear though that the longer you engage in a bad habit, the harder it is for the body to heal itself. So, and also one of the key things that you would have seen in the video a while ago is when you stop drinking alcohol, your body goes through what do you call it now? Withdrawal syndrome, and so you're going to feel bad initially. The challenge now is, do you have the self-control, do you have the ability to stick it out when your body starts to crave the solution to stop the pain, because it's like, if you want to be fit, you have to exercise. And if you do exercise, initially you're going to feel pain. Your muscles are going to be stretched, you're going to be tearing them, you're going to, be creating discomfort because your body had become used to a sedentary lifestyle. So the early stages of getting into the exercise groove is going to be painful. But if you stick it out and if you do it right, after a while you start to see the results. You won't see any results in the first day, the first week. The first week is pain. The second week, if you keep it up, still pain, but the pain gets a little less. And if you get to 4 weeks, you stop feeling much of the pain that you were feeling before, and you start to begin to feel really good about yourself. The trick is to stick to it long enough to get into a routine, to form a habit. The same thing goes for alcohol. When you give it up, you're going to have to be resilient. You're going to have to be, committed and say, okay, I'm going to stick to this and work it through. And that's the challenge for almost all of us, to stick to anything, to work it through. Even the UIC. I mean, we're creating here, Sir Douglas, a new opportunity for Jamaicans to vote for something very different. We're unlike any other political party Jamaica has ever seen. We're not a political party. We're a movement trying to get rid of partisan politics, trying to unite the Jamaican people, trying to bring good governance. All of these things come with pains, whole heap of pains, and I can tell you about some. And then you have to now stick to it long enough for it to finally take root and for it to then finally, go all the way. The UIC, we've been through a lot of pains as we're trying to bring this movement to the point where we finally get elected by the people. And believe me, when we finally get elected, that's not the end of the pain.
Yeah.
When we get elected, now the pain of leading the people to the promised land, leading the people when they come and they see the Red Sea and they say, my goodness, this Joseph bring me to? Look what and they see this big Red Sea in front of them. How are we going to get across that? And then we have to get across the Red Sea, and then we have to go through the wilderness and deal with the scorpions and the snakes and all the challenges, and then finally make it into the land of abundance, where we have a safe Jamaica, clean Jamaica, orderly Jamaica. So it's not easy. And so life is never easy. And what we're talking about here, about this 21-year-old, what has happened to her, what we can now learn from this. Let this be a pivotal moment for any one of us. Whether you're 21, whether you are 51, whether you are 15, use this opportunity as a turning point in your life. Right?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
No other thoughts. I don't know if you want to
take some comments or questions.
Take some comments.
Sure.
So Janet is saying withdrawal detox, which is why many still stay in that position, because they crave the very thing they are trying to. Yes.
Yeah. I saw somebody mentioning earlier on about the health minister, and one of the things that sets the UIC apart from the others is that we are committed to having a system where our ministers of government are in fact subject matter experts. It's wise to have the person that is the face of the ministry understanding what he or she is talking about. It's not wise to have a health minister who is not really a health professional, who has carefully studied and understands how the body works. For example, in the last issue we had with the virus, if we had a health minister who really understood virology, who really understood how viruses work, who really understood the kind of questions to ask in a pandemic, the kind of information to share, we would not have resorted to simply dumbing down the Jamaican people to saying, stay in your house, wear a mask, social distance, and we're going to destroy your economy in the process and all of that. Instead, what we would have had was a very informed minister who bring together the various civil society groups, bring together the various health practitioners, and attack the problem by making sure first we understand it to the extent that we could, that we're being very objective about it. So we're not trying to just pick solutions and force them on anyone. We want to be very objective about it. We would have protected free speech so that we can hear from divergent views and hear the different sides from different people. We would have then recommended courses of actions, which includes a multiplicity of solutions, those that are natural and those that are pharmaceutical. A simple thing like steaming on a daily basis that would kill any virus in the nasal passage before it gets into the lungs, if there's any. Of course, practicing good hygiene, yes. Eating a good diet that would build your immune system so that you can effectively stave off anything that's happening, but not ramming down the throats of people to say you need to take this product that is being mandated by global authorities and we're just going to follow it because they say so or because they're going to give us some for free, quote unquote. So we really need to have a government where it's built by intellect, it's led by intelligence, it's led by people who respect human rights, we respect choice. So for example, if the UIC was government, we would not outlaw alcohol because that would be a personal choice. What we would do though is to make sure that our children are properly educated so they understand how their bodies work. And that's why I love the UIC education policy and program, LEAP, the Learning Enrichment Advanced Program. You want to tell us about that program, Mr. Harper? I mean, people are tired of hearing me say it, so let me hear you say it. Talk about the program for us.
So the Learning Enrichment
Advanced Program, yes.
Program, LEAP, is a program for our young people. And it's built around three main core principles. First principle being understanding self. Second principle being understanding relationships. So how you relate to each other, whether it's, friendships or relationships in terms with family and relationships with someone that you are affectionate to, or relationships in business. Understanding how you build good relationships with people. And so the third thing is understanding money. And so we want to have this as a foundation for our students from a very early age, for them to have an understanding of these things, and that will, as a foundation, that now will help them to understand, other things. So it's a program that it's holistic in its view, and it will help our children to really understand self, understand how our bodies work, understand the correlations between what we're putting in our bodies and how our bodies are reacting to that, understand our relationships and how you relate to each other, and then of course understanding money and how money works, and that will help us to raise a better cadre of young people going forward in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the young lady who just passed away, had she received an education based on the UIC model, which, as you rightly said, Douglas, begins with the three core principles of understanding self. What does it mean to understand self? It means you understand your mind, your body, and your personality or character. So you understand your mind, which is very important. As a human being, you need to understand how your mind works. We in Jamaica are so unfortunate because we use so little of our brain power here in this country, very little. if you notice, we're not producing very much. Our productivity level is extremely low as a country, like super low. So it means the vast majority of our people are using a minuscule portion of this beautiful God-given brain, this beautiful creation that we have between our ears, this magnificent brain. We don't even understand it. If we understood it, we wouldn't put any alcohol in our bodies because we'd be very concerned about how it's going to affect our neurons, how it's going to affect our ability to learn, our ability to think and reason, our ability to solve problems, complex problems, as well as simple problems. Because if you notice, simple problems, we solve them by fighting, by cussing. I grew up in my early years in a place called Blake Road, close to Beeston Street and Wildman Street area in Kingston. And practically every morning that I wake up, every godsend morning, before any cock crows, you hear two people cussing outside in the street, two or more. I mean, as day break, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's double on Saturday. You know, they start cussing instantly, or you hear somebody stab somebody, or you had different factions meeting somewhere by this bridge that leads down to Princess Street Market, and they're shooting each other. Both of my uncles got shot. Well, one got shot and one got shot at, and they missed. You know, so it's this kind of country we've grown up in where we're not using our mental faculties effectively. So the UIC wants to change that. So our school curriculum is not like the colonial master system, which is based on, you know, reading, writing, and arithmetic, and you learning in an industrial style, conveyor belt style, where you just move through the system based on age, and you're just spit out, and your goal is to learn rudimentary skills to then be employed, to follow processes in an employment, manufacturing or processing function or office function, and that's it. No, what we want is for the child to leave school with an amazing appreciation for everything about him or herself, an amazing appreciation for his skin color and African ancestry or any other ancestry, an amazing appreciation for the magnificent physiological structure that he has been given, the biological structure, as well as the mental creation that exists, the invisible part of him, which is called a mind, and to realize how expansive that mind is, how that mind can take you to the Mars or to Moon, to how that mind can create a car or a cell phone, how that mind can design artificial intelligence that mimics himself or herself, how that mind can create any tool or device that makes it more efficient and effective for a human being to exist in the natural world, how it separates us from the animals who follow instinct, but we instead are following the genius of God. We're like mini gods because we can create. So we want to impact that mental side of our people in a way that will unleash all of our potential. Similarly, you want us to understand everything. You want the child from basic school coming through primary to high school. When you finish high school, you have a complete understanding of your constitution, what you should drink and why, what you shouldn't drink and why, what you should eat and why, what you shouldn't eat and why, how the whole composition of food is made up, how the body deals with the different types of foods, the combination of foods, liquid versus solids, the enzymes, the chemical process of breaking down that food. What should your stool look like? Yeah, if you're eating and drinking properly, how many times should you go to the washroom? When you do go, what should be the color, the texture, the smell, if you're eating properly? And if you're not, what will you see? How easy will it be to relieve yourself of the waste matter that you have now produced? And by the way, it's not even waste. Learn now how that matter can move back into the biodiversity of nature, the ecology of nature, and convert that into useful elements for the rest of nature. So you're not only learning about your own body, you're learning about what your body produces and how that benefits the rest of nature and how it can be best used to benefit the rest of nature to create that circle of life that is going to build you, build your family, build your community, and maintain a better world for all of us to enjoy. So that's your mind, your body, and then your personality. We're all different. We all have similarities and we have uniqueness. Our fingerprint may be unique, our eyes may be unique or different, but we have a personality type, different personality types. And if you understand those personality types, then you can probably better work with other people because you understand their personality types. You can assess how they're thinking, why are they behaving a particular way, and what you can do to encourage a better response as you deal with that person. Now, all of this is not, I'm not a master of any of this. I'm learning just like you. But just imagine if we deliberately and constructively teach these things to our children, but not just teach it, make it the core, the fundamental of their studies. So the fundamental is not math and English. Those are just periphery. Learning how to compute is a periphery. Learning how to write your letters and spell and write a sentence and a paragraph and build a story, those are periphery. Those are now you learning to express yourself in numbers and in words. But those are just a part of your output. What's more important is the input that then brings forward the outputs. Yeah. So if we input the right kind of food, if we input the right kind of knowledge, and if we then convert that using our brilliant minds and using our bodies effectively, then just imagine how we're going to impact our society around us. And so if we get the body, the mind, and the personality right, and then we now move that now into human behavior, understanding human behavior, now you can build solid family relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your expanded family. You can build great community relationship, working effective with those in your community to build your community. You can now build good friend and good business relationships. Now you know how to negotiate effectively. You know how to trade value for value with each other. You know how to create win-win solutions and outcomes. And then you're now going to take all of this body of knowledge that has made you into a profound human being into dealing with something we all have to deal with. Every child, every single man, woman, and child must engage with money. So there's no way you can have an education system where after 15, 16, 17 years, you graduate and you do not understand all there is to know about money, the science of money, the history of money, the monetary system in which you're operating, the economics that drives life and living. If you leave school and you don't understand these things, how are you going to make effective decisions? What will be your motivation? Yes, your motivation is to make lots of money. Wrong. If your motivation is to make lots of money, you're going to make lots of mistakes. But the moment you learn that your motivation should be to be the best person you can be by serving other people effectively, and as a result, trading value for value, then your whole perspective on life has changed, because now you become a value contributor to society. You add value to society, and society in return gives you value into your life. And once you understand that value-driven process, you become a better person, you become a more effective human being, and you become a better enabler of others to be effective as well. What are your thoughts, Sir Douglas?
Wonderful breakdown, Mr. Patterson. I like how you put it. But yes, this is definitely those core values or core teachings are really life-changing, and it really will put our students a step above where they are now. And so it's definitely necessary. It's one of the things that when I read in the 10-point plan, I said, they're onto something here, because this is exactly what we need. We don't necessarily need more of the same. We need a different way of approaching our education. I love the fact that we are huge on an Afrocentric style of education, because for so long we've been taught history from a European perspective, but to approach not just history but everything, every subject matter from an Afrocentric point of view is shifting how you approach things, and it's now going to have us thinking differently and seeing things from a different perspective and angle. And so it's one of the things that really I was really happy to see in one of those things that I didn't know what should be done, but when I read it, I was like, yeah, this is just makes sense.
Just imagine, Douglas, what's going to happen when our children get this education. They will see yam and banana and dasheen and breadfruit as something tremendously valuable.
Yeah.
When they go to the grocery store and they look at the shelves, because we're not going to ban anything. We're not going to ban. We're going to allow all the different food options in the world to be on the shelf. Instead of banning things, we don't believe in banning anything. We're not going to ban you from drinking sugary drinks or eating this or doing that. That must be your personal choice. What we're going to do, though, is empower you to be able to make the best possible choice. Now, you will still have to choose. And some people will choose not to do what is best for them, but then they will live with that consequence.
Yeah.
And others can look at them. I want our children to look, or I have looked at one of the things I did as a child, I studied people greatly. I mean, I started very early, I think, because of my grandmother. When I was 3 years old, she taught me to read. And her method of teaching me to read was phenomenal. I mean, it was brilliant. She knew that I loved to read the comic strip. So Conan the Barbarian and Mandrake and all that stuff was there. And I wanted to get my hand on the Gleaners comic strip on a Sunday, for example. And she says, you can have the comic strip, but you must first read me the front page, read the headline and read me the front page story of the Gleaner. And I had to sit there and count the words, first of all, until gradually I became quite fluent. It was now easy, but also I was reading the news.
Right.
As a child. So I'm reading about, let's say there was an issue with bauxite mining, or there was an issue with the Jamaica omnibus service, or there was an issue with loans outstanding to be repaid. As a child, I am reading that. Now, I may not understand it initially. I didn't, for sure.
Right.
But it was making its own little connection.
Yeah.
Right? So over time. Now, by the time I was 7, when I got this book called Tell Me Why from an expat neighbors that was living next door, some British people, when I was now living in Renfield Drive in Kingston. And they brought me this book back from England, a big, thick yellow book called Tell Me Why, which talks about everything, all the things you can think of, rainbow, going to Mars, evolution, everything was there. And I took an interest now in reading about great men, and women. So I would read all these biographies and autobiographies. And I was like, wow. And I discovered one thing. I could learn from other people's mistakes. I could learn from other people's experiences. I didn't have to experience it myself to understand. And so what I started to do was to look at my immediate family. So I looked at my brother, he was older than me. I looked at my sister, she was older than me. And I looked at the way their lives were going. They both failed common entrance as well, like I later on did. They both failed technical entrance as well, like I later on did. And I said, but wait a minute, this is quite a trend here that's happening. When I look at my mother, and she was poor, we lived in this one room. I looked around me at the rest of the community. I saw people who were living better and some who were living maybe slightly worse. And I'm studying them. I eventually now got to my father's house at age 11. He was far more opulent than my mother, richer than my mother, by far. He had a nice, bigger house with, landscaped lawn, and satellite dish and whatever. So I looked at him and I studied him. He was a businessman, and I looked at how he behaved. I looked at my stepmother. I studied the neighborhood I was now in, and I paid close attention to people. And I discovered that there are some key things you should do and shouldn't do if you're going to be successful in life. Then I set out and I set myself goals, and one of those goals was to make sure that when I get to retirement age, whatever that was, I must be debt-free, healthy, and adding value, more value to the lives of others than I take out. So far, I appear to be on course. One of my other goals was to also make sure that I would be able to retire at 45. I missed it by 1 year. And by retirement, what I meant was that I would not be dependent on an employer for an income. You know, I'd still have to do some work, but I wouldn't be dependent on an employer, meaning if the employer pulls the plug, I'm in trouble. So I wanted to make sure that I fix my personal, my family finances so that no employer will be able to pull the plug. No landlord must be able to pull the plug. I must be in a position where I am. So that was my goal for 45. I didn't achieve it until 46, but that was the intent there. And so I'm going to share with you now 10 things that from my own experience, they've worked for me, and I think they can work for anybody. I mean, remember, I failed common entrance twice, right? I failed technical entrance. You can't be duncer than me. So anybody can do what I've done, and I'm still learning. So the 10 things I'm going to share with you, I'm even still mastering them. Every day I try to improve, as best as I can, but I find that they work. So do you want me to share them with you? Is that okay? Everybody, is that okay?
Yes.
Can I share them? All right. So the 10 things, I call them the 10 laws of health and wealth. So if you want to be smart, and I'm talking now especially to the young people. I mean, all of you are welcome to read and listen and look at this and think about it. But I really have a soft spot in my heart right now for the young people of our country. Those who are, babies, but, you're 10, 11, 12, 13, you have a chance to see this. I mean, I got so much knowledge at 7. When I was 7 years old, I got open to some stuff. I'm hoping you stumble on this as a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 15, 18, 17, 21. If you want to be smart, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be wealthy, don't drink alcohol at all, or too much, or regularly. Just don't. Don't smoke, don't gamble, and don't engage in sexual promiscuity. If you just leave out those 4 things out of your life, you're on a path to succeed. Now, here are 10 things, though, that you should do instead of those other 4. So normally, my wife always tells this to me, when we're training our children, she said, if you take away something, always replace it with something else. So don't just say, don't do this. You must say to the children, do this. So don't do this instead. So here I'm telling you, don't do the alcohol, don't do the cigarette smoking or any other smoking, don't do the gambling, don't do the sexual promiscuity thing. It's going to be so lovely when you find that special person, that girl or that guy that you can love and spend the rest of your life with, and you haven't made a mess of yourself prior. If possible, I know some of our kids were damaged from childhood, so God be with you, and all the best on recovering from that, and you will. But if you're in a position to keep yourself away from these vices, alcohol, smoking, gambling, sexual promiscuity, you have a great opportunity ahead of you to be tremendously great. And if any of these have already affected you, you still can recover. You still can make something great of yourself. You can stop. So instead of those 4, here are 10 things that I call the 10 laws of health and wealth that will ensure you enjoy a much happier life. The first thing is nutrition, what you eat, what you put into your body. If you dedicate yourself mostly to a plant-based diet, a diet of food that is as close as possible to the way God provided it. The yams, the bananas, the cabbage, the lettuce, the fruits of all kinds, the mangoes, the pears, the cherries, the sweet sops, the jackfruit, all this array, the different forms of beans and peas and legumes. If you just learn to play with those food and make sure your plate is colorful and pretty with all of these things straight from the Creator's hand, of course, sometimes with some help from us, you will be able to make the best possible blood to run through these veins of yours. Beautiful, clean, healthy, nutritious blood that's going to feed all of your cells and make you into a brilliant person. Yeah, it's going to expand your brains in ways that are unimaginable. You're going to be able to think and see things that those around you are not following this cannot see easily. You're going to have to help them to see it. You'll be able to build solid muscles and organs that will last you for years upon years, way beyond the 70 or 70 years, way beyond the 86 years, if you are to follow these. Of course, there are genetical things that can affect you. There are accidents that can happen. But outside of that, if you get a chance to just eat healthy foods, mostly, reduce the unhealthy food to as little as possible, closer to 5%, and make the healthy foods the big deal. All of those, all the arrays, all of the foods that comes from the earth, as close as possible to their natural states, not preservatives added and all kind of things. If you can, get it right, and try to get it. So that's number one: proper nutrition, healthy nutrition. Number two is to actually exercise at least 5 days a week. It's an amazing thing when you, every single day or at least 5 days out of the week, your body heats up because you're exercising, and it causes blood to just flow into every aspect, every area of your body, fresh and regulated well, and cause your joints to lubricate and cause your heart to pick up, your breathing. It forces you to deep breathe. It expands your lungs. It builds your muscles. It lubricates your joints, and it really gives you this boost while reducing the excess fat and building stronger muscles. And the funny thing about exercising is when you exercise, it actually improves your brain function. It makes your brain work much better than if you don't. The less exercise you get is the more foggy your brain becomes, believe it or not. And so when you exercise, you're removing the fog. You're freeing up your mind. It puts your troubles behind you. If you have any stress or whatever, it's a de-stressor. So it takes the stress off, and it actually expands the mind and causes you to think about things more clearly than before you did the exercise. So if you do this just 5 times a week, once a day for a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes. And one day I'll show you what I do. I'll take you through my routine that I do typically 5 times a week, sometimes 7, but it's always good to take a break. That's a very important part of building a healthy. Don't do anything in excess, always moderate. So nutrition, number 1, exercise, number 2. Number 3, the simple thing, very, very simple thing, H2O, water. We drink too little water. If you drink 8 cups a day, that's beautiful. Water serves a number of functions. A key one, it's a cleanser. It's actually cleaning your inside. Just like you get a bath and you bathe and you clean off the outside of you and it makes you feel fresh and healthy and vigorous, drinking a nice cool glass of water, not cold, but cool room temperature. You can add some lime in it if you're not happy with the taste initially, but drink that glass of water first thing in the morning, drink one later in the evening before you go to bed. Initially, you're going to pee a lot because you're not used to it. But after you do this regularly, you're going to find that your pee regulates, the color of your pee is going to get really nice and light. It's not going to be thick and yellow anymore because that's just a buildup of waste matter. Now it's going to be fluid, it's going to be clear. You're adding electrolyte to your body. This is a very important part of making good blood. It's a very important part of increasing the electricity around your body and making you able to move with proper lubrication and able to think and to add vigor to your life. So if you want to be the optimal person, you want to have proper nutrition, number one, you want to do regular exercise, number two, and you want to drink water in abundance. You can never, well, you can have too much, so don't drink too much. I mean, 8 to 12 glasses, this size is pretty decent. And you can just sip throughout the day. It's actually good to just sip like this. I have lime in this water right now. You just sip throughout the day. You're working at your desk or you're out in the yard doing something, carry a bottle with you. You're going home from work, carry a bottle of water with you. You're heading to work and just sip as you go and finish it up nicely. Number 4 is sunshine. Now, these are basic doctors. And you do these things, you stay away from the hospital. You're not going to have the many of the problems. You're reducing your risk of cancer. You're reducing your risk of almost every disease known to man by doing these 4 things: nutrition, exercise, water, and getting adequate sunshine every day. Don't get stuck in the office. Go out and get some sun on your face. If you have a chance in your backyard or the way your house is set up, take off as much of your clothes as possible and just enjoy the sun. But don't sit down in the hot, blazing sun. Early morning sun or late evening sun is the best for you. The one midday is too hot and too intense. So cover up when you're out in that. And just enjoy the sunshine on your face and on your body. The sunshine recharges you. It helps your thinking. It recharges your engine. It is your natural energy source that gives you vitality. The sun and the water and the food combines in chemistry to create new compounds. And you need all of them, not one or the other. You can't just have the good nutrition and leave out the water and the sun, because then your body won't have the right chemical balance, the right chemical reactions to create the outcomes that you need. You're going to be constipated if you're not drinking enough water, or if you're not eating enough fiber. You're not going to be cleansing yourself properly. If you're not getting enough sunshine, you don't have that energy to cause the body to properly digest and do the right things to release the nutrients into your bloodstream. So you need all of that, right? So you need the nutrition, you need the exercise, you need the water, and you need to enjoy God's beautiful sun. And then the 5th ingredient, which is equally important to the previous 4, is fresh air. If you live in a congested area, try to get out from time to time. Try to get up early in the morning and get outside and get that fresh air before all of the congestion coming from the vehicles and the trucks and the factories and whatever. If you live where I live, like out in St. Elizabeth, where you don't have a whole heap of that, and lots of fresh air around you, that's beautiful. But do make every effort to get fresh air every single day. Open your lungs, breathe in deeply, hold your breath for a little bit, breathe out through your mouth, and get used to the idea of just deep breathing on a regular basis and making breathing a part of your exercise routine. Get this daily and in great abundance. Fresh air, being brought into the body helps you to burn fat. When you breathe out, you're breathing out the carbons and you're burning the fat, believe it or not. It powers the cells. It's a key part, combining with the water and the nutrients from the food and the energy of the sunshine to provide your cells with the power charge that it needs to be able to serve you very well. This is how you bring out the best in your mental ability and your physical powers when you combine those 5 things. Now, here's the kicker. Many of us keep going to bed very late. When I stay upon these lives, I hate every minute of it once it passes 8 o'clock, because it's now breaking into my bed routine. I normally get to bed between 8 and 9, so I'm up by 4 and 5 in the morning, so I can actually get a lot of work done before everybody else, and then I can talk to everybody else afterwards. That's one of my secrets for success. So sleeping is critical. So the first 5, nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, fresh air, very critical. But sleeping brings all of this together, because it's when you are sleeping now that the body goes through and does all of its repair job from whatever challenges you have throughout the day. It goes through now, repairs everything. It organizes your thoughts, packet things into the memory sockets properly, so that you can then recall them at the right time, at the right moment, to make the right split decision, whether it's on the job or in your life or in business. You want to have that sleep, which will allow you to have all of the cognitive faculties in place and ready to effectively, deal with life challenges. If you're not sleeping well, and if you're not sleeping long enough, at least 8 hours a day, then you're not building the mind and the body and the personality that you need to be able to be your best self. So without sleep, even if you have the others, you're losing out on a lot. So please cut whatever you're doing and get that 8 hours of sleep every night. You need a little bit less as you get older, but especially if you're young, please pack it in, and don't allow your studies to get in the way. Organize your studies so that you get your sleep, and then you can study even more powerfully. The 7th element is temperance, or self-control. This is critical, because you can't do any of the others if you don't have this one. If you're a Christian, you would have learned something called the fruit of the Spirit in the Bible. I respect those 9 elements of the fruit of the Spirit, because I find them to be really, really beneficial to me. It may not be to you if you don't think so, but I really found them, to have a certain frame of mind. It begins with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and all that kind of stuff. But one of the key elements of the fruit of the Spirit, as the Bible calls it, is self-control. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, this is critical. If you do not have self-control in life, you've lost. You're hopeless if you don't have self-control, because it means somebody else or something else is going to control you. Maybe it's your friends, your peers. Maybe it's societal trends. Maybe it's an addiction. Whatever it is, if you don't have temperance, if you don't have self-control, somebody else or something else is going to control you. And 9 out of 10 times, that somebody else or something else is not going to control you for your best interest. It's going to control you for your destruction. And so you need to master yourself. By taking control of your thoughts, directing your actions to confirm what your values are and to conform you to those values. What do I mean by values? What is important to you? If you say, for example, your health is important to you, and that's a part of your core values, then you're not going to drink alcohol, at least not excessively, because you know that since your health is important to you, since that's one of your core values, your decisions are going to be, well, I'm not going to do alcohol because that is inconsistent with my core values. So instead, I'm going to do an apple a day, or an orange a day, or a mixture of orange and bananas and strawberries, or sweet sop, or whatever it is. I'm going to choose foods that are consistent with my core values of wanting to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. I wouldn't smoke if I want to be healthy. That's inconsistent with my values. If your values, however, are different, if your values are, let's say your values are, I want to make as much money as possible, and I don't care how I get it, I just want it, then of course you will do things that are consistent with those values. You will steal, you will lie, you will cheat even yourself. You will eat poorly because what's most important is making the money. So I'm not going to sleep properly, I'm not going to eat properly, I'm not going to have a good relationship with my family or spouse or friends. I'm going to do whatever it takes to just make the money. Now, that's a very unfortunate situation. But let's say you have better values than that. Let's say your values are, yes, I want to be financially free, I want to be financially secure. You're going to make good decisions. You're going to have good saving habits. You're going to develop good investing habits. You're going to learn about business and how to build and operate a business. You're going to learn how to manage your finances properly, because if you want to be financially free and financially independent, you have to make good choices. And so you have to do what's consistent with those values. So number 7, self-control or temperance is critical. Without it, you won't be able to stick to your nutrition decisions. You won't be able to stick to your exercise routine. You won't be able to stick with drinking enough water each day. You won't be able to stick with getting fresh air every day. You won't be able to stick with getting to bed and getting your sleep on a regular basis so you can optimize yourself. So self-control, that 7th pillar of the 10, is critical. Number 8 is one of my favorites. It's called having an attitude of gratitude. What do I mean by that? Well, most of us take what we have for granted because it's given to us for free. Did you buy your brain? No. Did you buy your arms and your eyes and your limbs, your legs? No. Did you buy your heart or your kidney? No. You simply got it. These things came to you for free by your creator and by the generosity of your parents and maybe some other person who helped to see to it that you actually made it from 0 to 21. If you have a real attitude of gratitude for these free gifts that have been given to you by your creator and your parents and others around who helped in the process, you will value them. You'll value your life. You'll value your organs. You'll value your brain. You'll value all the opportunities they give you and all the other opportunities they allow you to take advantage of. You'll value even the challenges that your creator allows to come in front of you. You'll see them as stepping stones. And so you'll have a very good attitude of gratitude for all of these things. And as a result of that, you will place a premium on them and therefore build on them. You will build on them by producing quality outputs that you serve the rest of the world with. Whether it's as a dentist, you help people to care for their teeth, a doctor, a nurse, a garbage collector, a security guard, a police officer, a teacher, a healthcare aide, you work in a restaurant, you serve people. You will see all of these opportunities as a chance to add value to other people's lives because you appreciate, you are grateful for all that your creator has given you for free. And so you will freely give to others. And the funny thing about it, the more you freely give to others is the more you will get in return. The people will value you. The more problems you solve for people, the more value you add to their lives. If you are in a restaurant, for example, and you smile with the customer when they come in, they'll smile back at you. Most of them. Some are not so nice. If you serve them with care and love, they will feel it. And they might even tip you in the process. Even if they don't tip you, the fact that they came to the restaurant and come back and buy food from that restaurant preserves your job. If you own the restaurant, all the better. It preserves your business. But the more you give out these good to other people, is the more value will come back to you. The more value you give out, the more value you will get. And that's the way your creator designed you. Your creator designed you to be a creator of value, for you to give value to others and in return, the value comes back to you. Life is one big cycle where all of the elements are feeding all the other elements. And we of the human species have been given a unique place in that value chain, in that we're not conditioned by instinct only. We are able to innovate, we're able to create, we're able to design, we're able to bend nature to our will in so many ways. And so if we're grateful for all of this, if we appreciate all of this, then we will not be involved in crime. We'll not be involved in stealing. We'll not be involved in devaluing or depreciating. Instead, we'll be value adders. We'll be adding values and value to other people. So that's number 8, an attitude of gratitude. Number 9 is to build self-confidence. Well, you're exercising, you're getting the self-control, you have an attitude of it, and you're so thankful, and you're giving value. If you do not,
Okay, it seems as if we've. Oh, wait.
Did you lose me?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm wondering if we did.
You lost me?
It seems that way, but you're back now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. How long did you lose me for? What was the last thing I said?
Not long. Not long.
Okay, what was the last thing I said?
You had just started. You had just started the 9th point. Okay,
wonderful. So the 9th point is self-confidence, and I love this one because without it, you have lost. You're just not able to be. You can't deliver. You can't deliver on the others properly because you're going to be a puppet. You're going to be bounced around. You will serve. You'll even be serving others, and you'll serve out yourself. You will serve without purpose. You'll serve in a way that undermines your own existence, which you should never do. You should never serve the world in a way that undermines your precious position in the world. You're not here to be a foot rug for anybody. You're not here to be a puppet for anybody. You're not here to be a yes minister for anybody. You're here to be a willful, purposeful, informed, and intelligent contributor to humanity. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are meant to be here, that you have a purpose here, that you have a mission here, and that you're a part of something bigger than yourself, but you're just as important as any other person in the whole cosmic reality of the universe. You have to believe that you can do anything worthwhile if you set your mind to it. And you must get up every morning and set out to prove that to yourself daily, not to anyone else. You must set out daily to prove to yourself that you can do anything worthwhile that you set your mind to. And always try to set new records, new highs in your life. Keep outdoing yourself. Keep raising the bar. And that will pull you forward. There's something about being human that makes us dissatisfied with not achieving. You check anybody. There's nobody in this earth who is happy about not achieving. They may mask it by drinking alcohol. They may mask it by smoking. They may mask it by looking reckless and rude and dirty, or just cursing, or they'll use all of those things to mask the real hidden reality that deep down inside of them, they want to be an achiever. They want to achieve things. They want to scale mountains. They want to overcome challenges. And they want to, that's why we love athletes. That's why we love to watch Shelley and Fraser and Elaine Thompson and Usain Bolt and Sharika. We love to watch all of these people do well, because inside of all of us, we want to do well. We want to achieve. So it's okay. Don't tame yourself. Don't stop yourself from wanting to do something worthwhile. Instead, do something worthwhile. Pick an area. Do you want to help children with special needs? Go after it. Do you want to solve an issue in science and technology? Solve it. Do you want to change the way we govern ourselves as a people? Help to make it happen. Whatever it is, take the time to embrace the fact that you are special, that you are worthwhile, and that there is something out there that you can and should do. It may not be one thing, it may be a number of things, but please have the confidence to go after it. And it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you still have breath, as long as you still have energy, as long as you still have the ability, even if you're crippled, maybe you only can use your mind. You may have lost your arms and your legs. It doesn't stop you from thinking. You can think, and you can articulate those thoughts and manifest them through the hands and legs of other people. Which leads me now to number 10 and the final point. Yes, you have done number 1. You would have eaten right, nutrition. You cover that. Number 2, you're exercising and bringing out the best in your physical being and enhancing your mental capacity. You're drinking water properly to cleanse your body, to provide the electrolyte that you need to be optimal in your daily activities. You're enjoying God's beautiful sunshine and allowing it to recharge your batteries every day and giving you that vitality that you need. You're inhaling and exhaling that fresh air and contributing to the ecosystem while building your lung capacity and building your own mental prowess in the process. You're sleeping right, 8 hours a day, so that your body can repair itself and organize your thoughts and prepare you for the next day to be your best self. You have the self-control or the temperance to do all of those things because you have conquered you. You have the attitude of gratitude. You're thankful for all that your Creator has given you, and you're using those free gifts from your Creator to serve others. And in turn, you're being served by them. You have the self-confidence that you need. You believe in yourself, that you can do anything that is worthwhile, that you set your mind to. You're setting new highs and new records every day. But without number 10, you're not complete. Number 10 is very aligned with number 9. Number 10 is passion. Yes, you have to discover a practical, feasible, and rewarding passion to pursue. And then you have to set goals and design plans and take solid actions on a daily basis to achieve those plans. Here's how I define a successful person. A successful person is not somebody who has millions of dollars and a huge mansion or anything like that. A successful person is somebody who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal each and every day. So you can be a success right now by choosing to pursue a worthwhile objective and to pursue that daily. So as long as you are pursuing this worthwhile objective, you are a success. Because to be a success is to be pursuing a worthy objective, doing so with passion, with vision, with drive, with a commitment to excellence. It doesn't mean you're going to be perfect overnight. It doesn't mean you get to the destination immediately. It simply means that you're in motion. And when you're in motion, you're changing. And when you're changing, that's all you need. For you to get from point A to point B, you must move. For you to get results, you must change the things around you. You must be impacting other people, impacting the environment, impacting lives and livelihoods by serving, by creating, by innovating, simply by being a value-added element in the community, in the household, in the world in which you live. And so those 10 points for you to enjoy great health and great wealth. I hope you find them useful.
Yes, I think they're very useful points, Mr. Patterson. Just to get into some of the comments that were being made. So Joseph Richardson says, without confidence, we are twice defeated in the race of life, but with confidence, we have won even before we started. Marcus Garvey. Absolutely. K. Watson is saying, what Mr. P is saying is like he describing me. Healthy eating and exercise. I'm not for fast food. Everything natural, not even soft drinks. I make my own. All of the fruits and vegetables. Randall Hemmings is saying it's a culture that was forced on us. Very sad to hear alcohol is no benefit to our body. That's a fact. Our health care comes from nature itself and from God. Blessings. Liddy Williams, the food that we are eating nowadays is pure poison because it's all imported. We have to farm and eat what we plant if we want to stay healthy. Definitely. And I mean, there's a symbiotic relationship between, as Mr. Patterson was saying, between, you know, what the fruits and the foods that are naturally given to us and how that affects our bodies and helps us to be better human beings. Right track, Mr. Patterson. How can a sick body enjoy life? Eat bad food, get fat, and diabetes. Young people should also learn to sew their clothes. Patriotic Vibe says, I trust that should the UIC get elected, the president will engage the nation weekly or monthly with a nation press conference. Yes, so those are some of the comments. I'm not seeing any questions, but yes. So it's you know, tonight's episode was about our choices, our lifestyle choices, and how are we being empowered? You know, from we're young, are we being empowered to make proper lifestyle choices that are going to benefit us and those around us in the years to come? And for many of us, we're not taught proper lifestyle choices. We're being taught by the people around us who are not necessarily making those right choices. And it's critical, it's important for us as a nation, if we want to move from where we are to where we want to go. You know, what we teach ourselves, and especially our young people or children, what we teach them is very important for them to understand the benefit of good lifestyle choices and just how beneficial it is to have a healthy body, healthy person. Yes. And so I just want to thank everyone for coming on the stream, on the live stream tonight. As usual, Lion Will the Jungle, big up yourself. Alan Scott, big up yourself. JMH, I don't want to call any names in because, you know, all of you guys are coming on every night, you know, spending time with us, whether it's an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. You're spending that time with us, and we appreciate it. And we are hoping that, you know, all these lives or YouTube videos are providing value for you. That's one of the reasons we do this, is to provide value for you. As Mr. Patterson said, it's important for you to provide value for others, and you will also get value back from others. And so I'd love for you guys to drop in the chat how how was tonight? You know, how do you find the light? Was it, if it was impactful and there was a lot of information that was shared that was beneficial for you, if you got value from it, drop a 10. If it was not valuable for you, if you didn't get much value from it at all, drop a 1 in the comments so we can know. Because we use these as a way of knowing how we're our audience, right? So how beneficial or not beneficial it was for you. Richardson says 10 key points that we need in our life. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Definitely. Wonderful 10 points. These are points that, you know, we all should be following. I'd love to get a copy of those points, Mr. Patterson, so I can have them
Sure.
in my room, wake up in the morning and see them. Wayne Russell says straight 10. Kirk, excellent teaching, 10% or 100%? Or maybe it's 10, you're supposed to say. Deborah Williams says, blessed Mr. Patterson, well done, I think he's saying. Keith Romans, the very reason I believe in equal choice, while avoiding exploiting, defrauding, extorting, or taking advantage of another person's body or property. Absolutely, Keith Romans, Mr. Romans, thank you so much. All right, so I'm not seeing any more comments. So thank you all for coming on. Hopefully we'll see us tomorrow. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Patterson.
Sure, I just want to say, sorry for keeping you all for 2 hours. I was intending for this to be a 1-hour meeting tonight. I don't know what happened, but my sincere apologies. Thank you very much, Sir Harper, for always coordinating these shows for us. Much appreciated. Thanks to all of you who have been on tonight. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. So thanks. Have a good night and enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your night, and have a good weekend when it's done.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.